Deze? Maar zit daar bij de witte auto.
Dat is toch nee, van niet. Oh nee, effectief toch als je het eten heeft. Ik ben toch moeilijk zijn nummer dan niet. Welcome to the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships in the Lebanon Sports Complex. And when I say Lebanon, I don't mean the smallest country in Asia, I mean Lebanon, Ohio. Today we have Freespeed from Switzerland taking on Freezzz from Belgium in Pool D of the men's division. I am Liam Grant and I'm joined by Robin Wiseman, an elite athlete from French champions Yaka. Robin, delighted to have you here.
Hi, Liam. Really happy to be here. It's been a very exciting day of Ultimate all around, from the showcase fields all the way to the back corners of the pitches. It's really exciting Ultimate everywhere.
Yeah, well, let's set the scene for this game. We just watched another game from this pool earlier, Shaq taking on Colony, where Shaq almost had a big upset, getting a 3-4 point lead against the top seed from this Pool D in the men's division. But unfortunately couldn't hold on, and Colony showing their dominance. And we look at the results so far. Both teams have played one game. Freespeed getting a win on the board with a 15-8 win against the Big EZ, and then also Freezebees losing 15-10 to Shaq. And you've actually had a chance to see Freezebees play earlier on this year at Tom's Tourney. What did you think of them then?
It was really exciting to watch the Freezebees. Tom's Tourney, they really showed that their O-line is very dominant. They trust each other, and they're willing to put things up in the air. The Yonkers brothers had quite the showing, put on a real show for the hometown fans. I'm hoping to see a big showing out of both of them today.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching the Yonkers play. Benjamin Yonkers, 18 years old, has found himself right in the middle of the O-line handlers, often looking for his brother, Raf Yonkers, 20 years old. Already 4 goals and 3 assists in this tournament. And both those players actually originally played with the Mooncatchers, who are a team that are here, but didn't have a bid originally for World Ultimate Club Championships. So a lot of their best players left, and then they found out quite late. And the Yonkers brothers are saying, no, we said we were going to play with Freezebees. We've put some money in. We've already committed to them. We don't want to bail on them now. So although the Mooncatchers are here and they're 2 of their best players, they're playing with this other Belgium outfit, Freezebees.
Yeah, and they've integrated so quickly into the team. It's definitely helpful for them to get the opportunity to play together. Their chemistry is something that you can't miss. I mean, they run a lot of their offense through them. I'm really excited to see how Freespeed matches their O-line chemistry and tries to disrupt them, maybe make them play a lot of long points, since their O-line is a pretty small rotation.
Yeah, exactly. You've had the opportunity to play 2 games already, I believe, today at the Lebanon Sports Complex. How did those go for you, and what was it like playing in this heat?
You know, the first round, we had an 11 o'clock a.m. match against Brilliance from Russia. It was we had a nice overcast sky, good crosswind, so it didn't seem very hot. But later in the afternoon, the clouds, went away. Teams have definitely had to game plan to make sure that players take care of themselves in the heat. The wind has also picked up a little bit more. This field, definitely more of a crosswind orientation, so it might pose a little bit different challenges than the other games that these teams have played earlier today.
Yeah, what was it like squaring up against those tall Russian players? Players we may not have known before a few years ago, but after their victory in Royan in the women's division, beating USA, everyone has taken them seriously. What was it like? Because when I look at them, they're so tall.
They're very tall, and actually the shorter players downfield are very physical, especially on defense. I can definitely think that that's something they had to develop the more that they played against, their teammates at practice, right? If you're short, you need to be physical to body up against some really tall athletes who are really good in the air, to play shutdown defense. So it was a very good way to kick off the week for me. Looking forward to seeing some good physicality downfield as well out of these 2 teams.
Yeah, I think you found yourself in a tough pool, because from my gauging of the division, Yaka and Brilliance probably 2 of the top teams, if not the best 2 out of Europe. So interesting, they found themselves in the same group. Same with Clapham and Bologna. So a lot of tough pools. But this game about to kick off, we have Freezebees from Bruges in Belgium starting on offense. That's going to be a bricked pull. It's going to come up about halfway. Not the greatest pull to start off the game. We have Cornel Descan. He's going to take it in the brick mark. Being marked by Aaron Riedle, who's actually a Crazy Dogs player, but often picks up with Freespeed at these bigger tournaments. Oosh. High release backhand, that one drifting, but gathered up. Duelle to Mullinair, thinks about the hammer, decides against it. Now with Yonkers, inside break to his brother who has to get up high, but not afraid to do so. And a little cheeky high release flick out in space. Whoa, that was a beautiful goal. Good hold from Freezebees.
I was really impressed with how the Freezebees, they attacked the break side once the open side got shut down by Freespeed. They really tightened up downfield. And that nice attack into the air by Yonkers. And he gets to show off his athleticism, his throwing range, everything in 1 point. So let's see another look at that cheeky little high release flick out into space. Really just puts that away from the defender so his teammate could run onto it. That is a beautiful, beautiful play. Puts the disc. You can see Yonkers get huge up in the air, switch hands, and just lead his teammate out to space. Right in stride. That is beautiful textbook offense.
Yeah, Jonas Douala, very thankful for that throw. Made it easy for him. I think it's just acceptable on this Bruges team to throw really high. You can throw, they got a big range, 3-4 feet above the player, and that's fine. They're going to catch it every time.
Yeah, if you have that type of error on your throws, I mean, use the full range, right? Keep the defense guessing.
Now we get our first look at the Freespeed offense. Hutz picks it up to Luca Miglioretto, a familiar face in European Ultimate. Oh, he's looking to send it, and he does just that. Being chased down. Fur, will he have enough room? No, he doesn't. Looked perfect when it first came out of his hands, but then maybe the wind drifting it out of bounds.
It's kind of a difficult huck just because it's, you know, you have to put it over the stack, out over the field where a lot of the offensive players and their defenders are. It still had a nice edge to it, but I mean, like I mentioned before, the wind is definitely a lot more intense. It's not that big of a factor, but once you put it up in the air, it's gonna tail away from the receiver.
My forecast for this game is there's going to be very few breaks. Both teams have quite top-heavy O-lines, so we'll see if they can actually get a break here. They're first asking. Playing a 3-4 horizontal stack, has to flick it. Schumacher is watching the house and reads that one very well. Luca now again with the disc. Ebbinger, the quick give go with SUI. Back to him again. Schumacher previously playing with Clapham. Sends it the end zone. They get it this time. Great goal. Schumacher and Erbinger getting 3-4 quick passes together and capitalized with a great goal.
One thing that Freespeed did a great job of defensively, you could see that they were communicating, switching. They knew how to pass people off. And that away shot, I mean, someone's in that deep space. And then they were able to get it off to the races immediately with those give-goes. You could see that after that D, you know, Freespeed's poached off, didn't think that they were going to attack the break side because they were so close to it already. And Freespeed said, thanks, we're just going to work it up. Use our legs out into space. Nice transition offense.
Yeah, and we'll see Rob Schumacher there with the big D to get possession back. And a man that played for Clapham in Lecco 4 years ago and played for them for a couple of years and was on their O-line, so considered one of the best players in Europe. So was not playing with them at Thomas Turney, so that's going to add a lot of firepower to the O-line. He's actually from Germany originally, kind of playing with Munich, but they didn't qualify for this tournament, so he decided to play with Freespeed this season out of Basel. Center to Benjamin Yonkers, and looks like a zone here from Freespeed, a kind of a 3-3-1. I think this could be a good call against the very athletic Freezebees team who use their athleticism to get themselves free, forcing them to play a little short ball with their handlers.
I love how they're just throwing to the receivers so that they can continue with momentum into that space.
DeMullinaire looking for Raf Yonkers, who obliges with a great run down. And that's the offense they want to play. As soon as Freespeed transition, they look for that hook. DeMullinaire puts it on a platter. Great goal.
What was really interesting is as Yonkers was clearing out into the deep space, it was actually a pretty small window to attack, and I love the creativity of that throw. He throws that with that inside edge, puts that out to space, and it's a really small space. But Yonkers has those steps, and I mean, again, the wind isn't that much of a factor. In fact, I would classify it as more of a thrower's wind. If you have that control over the edge, I mean, there's no space that's safe if Yonkers has a few steps of separation in the deep space.
Yeah, that was a beautiful creative throw. And as a defender, you're not expecting that one to go up the inside lane. So often you're going to look over your right shoulder first. And before you know it, the disc has gone past you and you don't have a chance to make a play. So that's the offense this Freespeed team play. They're quite creative, go for the spectacular, but they definitely have the receivers to chase it down.
And that, as a thrower, I mean, a lot of under 20 or under 17, under 20 experience. I mean, that's a throw you can put once you've been on the national or international stage a lot.
Luca to Bush. Van Barsen. Moser is the experienced player with the lefty flick and a great goal and walking with ease down the field there. Very little competition. That
was a very vintage Sockeye give-go, small ball up the field kind of possession. I mean, that was textbook of Sockeye, you know, maybe between 4 and 7 years ago. That's exactly what they did. Just lots of give-goes, really small spaces until something into that mid-range away shot opens up. Wow, fast.
Yeah, and speaking of fast, that was David Mosers with the assist, and he is 41 years old, but you would not think it. The man is ripped, and I've marked him a couple of times, and he's made me look like the 40-year-old and him like the 20-something-year-old. So, yeah, the man's still playing high-level ultimate. Doesn't want to go to any of those other divisions. He's quite happy here in the men's.
It's all about how you take care of your body, how you train, what you do in the off season, and how you prepare for a tournament like this. You know, it's not the same way as, you know, 18-year-old Yonkers on the Freespeeds. He's not going to prepare the same way, but at the same time, you get to see both players, you know, both ends of the age spectrum, still contributing in huge ways for their teams.
Yeah, Mo's actually a PE teacher, so you got to think he has a bit of experience in looking after his body. Boris van der Luck watches that one hit the line, so it'll be a bricked pull. Almost a fantastic pull, just drifted out. Desken gets the big under with ease. Oosh, always grinding hard. Raf Yonkers. PJ shakes and bakes to get the free under and then gives it to Yonkers, who gets the second goal of the game. And both O-lines looking flawless so far.
That throw to start it off, really just aggressive cut, opens up the space, hits Yonkers on the open sideline. Yonkers hits that strike cut.
And the score is Freespeed 3, Freespeed 2. We'll be back in a moment.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
And we are back at the World Ultimate Club Championships here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We have Freespeeds in the lead against Freespeed, 3-2. No breaks in this game so far. As we see Van Barsen with the disc. Back to Biolietto. Mosers. Quick dish. Van Barsen, oh, and a pass to Brudelin, who didn't think it was for him and just kind of watched it sail by in the audience for that one.
That was a great defensive kind of junky, poachy look at in the handler set. Get them to reset the disc a lot, and it paid dividends for the Freespeeds.
Changshura gets the inside break. Both handlers on the Freespeeds D-line being left-handed. I think Freespeed have recognized that and are forcing them to throw their forehand. Looks like a call in the field. No signal yet from the game advisors. There it is, a foul called.
That's hard. I mean, at this level, there's a lot of physicality. You know, you can expect that both on offense and defense. Both teams really going for it. Looks like they changed their call to a pick, so it's going to come back to the thrower.
Yeah, it's great having the game advisors here for spectators and commentators alike. They'll relay the hand signals of what call has been made on the field.
We can kind of see what happened. Can kind of see maybe that the Freespeed defender, you know, got tripped by his teammate as he was, you know, making a play at the disc.
Yeah, not sure if it had a big influence on the game, just legs getting tied up, no foul play. Taking a little long to get this one back in though. Oh, and that one just drifts into the middle of the stack. And oh, there's maybe another call.
Within, what, a 10-meter space in front of the disc, you have, you know, 6, 7, 8 players. It's really hard to squeeze something in there, but the stall count was getting pretty high.
Yeah, that's a big bunch of boys there in the middle of the field. Desmond discussing now, and I think it's going to be a real struggle for either D-line to get a break. They've had opportunities, but they lack the firepower of their counterparts on the O-line. And looks like this one's going to stand as a turn.
Let's see if Freespeed can, you know, get that fast-paced give-and-go movement off this dead disc.
Ebbinger. Fura. To Luca. Gets a quick break off to Moser. He's back to Luca. Great flow in this offense so far. Fura. Barson to Fura. Freezzz being doing well just to keep him in the downfield, not gaining much yards. Moser now. Barson. Getting a lot of touches of the disc, but not getting much yards. Oh, that one, big layout, unbelievable. Emile Deric reads the play and gets horizontal.
That was just, I mean, he got to see that play develop, and I really love how he took that inside lane, got up high, really attacked the disc. Those are the most fun kind of defensive plays, not just for the spectators, but as a defender too.
Yeah, enormous defensive effort there from the whole team. Shut down a lot of passes, eventually getting the score. And this one, a bit of huck and hope. Robin Brudelin trying to box out, has and an amazing grab from the backfield. Chance for the first break of the game. Cones came out of nowhere. Oh, and that disc also going nowhere. And that one hanging. Oh, looked like he had time there. Gaugler, maybe a little misread, and there's an injury called. Don't know if that was before or after the throw.
That's a tough throw again. They're putting it up into the wind, exposing that edge to the wind, and it's going to drift away from the receiver. You know, I think he made the best play he could have in the deep space, but again, if his thrower puts that flat, maybe puts the opposite edge on the disc and let it sit into that space as opposed to drifting away from the receiver, I think we would have seen, you know, that would have been a completion.
Yeah, they may be getting a get-out-of-jail-free card here, though, as a discussion of when the injury was called. Yeah, the 19-year-old Emile Deric getting the big layout earlier, enormous play. And they've been getting turns from this Freespeed O-line, but haven't looked likely of converting. Had to catch a sky ball there, and that was their best chance so far. But
yeah, and Freespeed's doing a great job of with that poachy junk where they're passing off the cutters as they're attacking spaces. We really need to see Freespeed's attack that break side where there's no defenders. They have to really focus on that handler movement. You mentioned that you've got 2 left-handed handlers. You know, maybe this is a slightly different strategy they're not used to playing against. So if they can adapt quickly, they're going to get that break.
And we see the Freespeed O-line coming out in a zone, which is kind of unusual in many ways, but had time to set up. Schumacher on the force. Oh, chance for Callahan. Moser, the sneaky man, veteran of this Freespeed team, gets a Callahan at the front of that zone.
You know, I think I just said it. The big factor in this game is which D-line is going to hit those resets and complete those resets to attack the break side sooner. If the Freespeeds can do it, I think the Freespeeds have generated way more defensive pressure. They can find that reset game, they're going to be fine, but they need to keep those discs down and low so that their shorter handlers can make those plays. Don't put it up in the air. But wow, what a nice defensive read. Can't complain about getting a Callahan. First one I've seen of the entire tournament.
It's actually my second one I've seen.
Oh my gosh.
I saw Davide Mori get a Callahan against Clapham.
Wow.
At that point, Bologna were up 11-6 against Clapham. I'm not sure how that game ended. I do know Bologna won. Getting some revenge, but it's likely they could face each other again and Clapham win the second time. It's generally how they do it, but a big win in the pool play. But yeah, we've seen the Freespeeds D-line have great defense.
Yes.
They've got turns, and that's thumbs up from that. But when they've tried to play offense with their D-line, it's not looked the May West. You know, they've struggled at times, but you know, the first hurdle is there. They got over that, and if they can start getting their D-line offense together, they're going to get some breaks.
New offensive look from the Freespeeds, a little flood play with the side stack.
And there's one man wide open, so it goes to plan. Douala just always grinding out the unders. Not getting a huge amount of scores, but relentless with his midfield cutting. De Mulliner and Reusch having a discussion now. Arne Reusch would have been part of that German mixed team who won gold a few years back in Dubai. And plays at Munich usually, but has the big task now of marking De Mulliner. Oosh. De Mulliner. Haven't seen him go deep yet, known for his deep presence. Yonkers. De Mulliner.
Freespeeds just look so calm and collected on offense. Their handler spacing is so great. The resets are easy. They're finding their momentum. They're able to reset the disc no matter what's happening downfield.
I think Freespeed are scared of them downfield, and they're worried about the deep shot that they're giving them maybe easy options short. Oh, low backhand. That one beautiful. High stall count. Gets it around to Deskin, who's been very solid so far. Raf Yonkers, oh, and that quick little give go. He had the disc for a millisecond before shooting straight through his brother. Brotherly love.
I mean, and that was just pure chemistry. You can tell that they've probably done that a million times, you know, over the last few years. You know, I love how Freespeed is just, they're taking away those deep shots, but as soon as Freespeeds catch those unders on the sidelines, they have to be ready. Again, they're such creative throwers on the Freespeeds. You think that they're gonna throw to the open side, and they've had, you know, 3 just cheeky little inside throws leading their receivers to space. And I think one of the Yonkers brothers has been on the receiving end of that. You know, they need to, Freespeed has to adjust, and they have to tighten up a little bit when they get into the red zone.
Yeah, and Freespeed's offense yet to turn over. Not even, they've converted all their O points, but they haven't even turned over yet. And that just shows the strength of this O-line. And debatably one of the best O-lines in Europe. Really, really strong 7 out there.
And that's going to be huge for them today. If they're able to keep their O-line fresh, that's going to pay huge dividends tomorrow as they go into their more difficult matchups, playing against Colony, and I think they play Chalk tomorrow.
This is true, yeah, very difficult group, but they know they've beaten Shaq before, and they can do it again. Beat them in the final at Tom's tourney on double game point. Oh, and a turn here, and again we see the Freespeed O-line haven't been that solid, but are very quick to get it back. Freespeeds. Half field to go, and looks like a foul called. Van Barsten coming across with a big foot, and looks like they're going to call a timeout, and that should be a good call.
You know, having those miscommunications on the resets with the type of defensive pressure that the Freespeeds are able to apply, again, it's going to be about maintaining possession and maintaining that appearance of being calm and collected and poised. You know, Freespeed looks a little bit more shaky when it comes to their resets right now in their O-line, but Freespeeds, calm, collected, poised, they seem to be in control of this game, even though it's still on serve.
Yeah, this offense has more holes than Swiss cheese. They are not clicking the way they want to be. I see a timeout called.
I don't want to say anything to boost your ego too much, Liam, but the American fans who've been following Yaka this season have really, really loved your love of puns. And especially the Harry Potter references I think we got to hear at Tom's tourney. It's been very enjoyable for the Americans who've been following the French ladies of Yaka. We've really appreciated all of those really nice puns.
Well, feel free to stroke my ego as much as you want.
I just want to make sure that all of the fans today, they can hear and appreciate all of the very best that Liam Grant has to offer us.
Well, I need to thank you because watching Yaka this season has been a lot of fun for me, and it's really easy to commentate a game when you have such great players on the field. Likewise, in this game, a story of two O-lines clicking well, and a story of two D-lines having to grind it out. Robin DeSuter now coming in off the timeout. 20 meters or so to go to the end zone line.
I really love this offensive set because it gives the reset so much more space to work with.
And again, a kind of a zony look quite outside the end zone. And a lot of pressure, has to put it over Hutz. Gets the swing off, high pass, but his last name does not end with Yonkers, so that's not a good idea. Barson puts it up to Gargler, who shows his pace and runs right by the defender. The blistering pace there. And again, free speed turn, but doesn't matter. They get it back and score.
And we got to see, downfield, there was a little bit of contact, and I loved, as a receiver, he just pushes through it, and he just beats his defender to that space. And I'm not even sure if he had to lay out. He read that so well. Maybe without the contact, he can just catch that on his feet, but looked like he maybe tripped a little bit. But you know what? Put on a good show. I was into it.
Yeah, we love gratuity here in the commentary booth. And yeah, I was talking to their coach, Martin Jenny, before the game, and he said Nicholas Busch, number 33, was their secret weapon and possibly the fastest man in Switzerland. And we got a little taste of that there as he accelerated right by Sebastian Wetz, who had a yard or two on him, but not when the goal was caught. He was left dragging behind.
I've just often dreamed about what it would be like to be that tall. If I could maintain everything about myself and just get a little bit taller, man, it would be so much more fun to run for deep throws.
Well, I'm quite tall, but I've always dreamt about being that fast. Maybe if we could combine our powers, Robin, would be one complete player. But yeah, definitely have the height, but nowhere near the speed of Nicholas Busch.
I have the arm length, but not the legs.
You see a side stack now and a little cheeky play with a stack flood across, and they tried and hit where the stack once was, but didn't work. But doesn't matter now. Demuliner on the far sideline sees the deep shot and hits it on maybe the third attempt. This one's going to be competed with. Oh, I don't think that was a goal. And it's been called out of bounds. And yeah, the player is calling it himself as well.
Again, that's another one of those hucks where we see that the thrower puts it up into the wind, exposes the edge of the disc to the wind, and it's just tailing away from the receiver.
Yeah, that's their first turnover of the game for the Freespeed O-line. Demuliner shows his height. That is a risky business, putting it up to his player. Arne Ruisch, great in the air, but Demuliner debatably one of the best in Europe when it comes to taking down high discs.
If you're going to take a shot, you got to see if your Yonkers watch is on.
Yeah.
If they're not in the deep space, maybe it's not a terrible idea, but the rest of the Freespeeds are no slouches when it comes to the deep space.
Yeah, that was the first pass this Freespeed D-line got, and it was just the one. And we see Raph Yonkers throwing some spice. Kenny gets the bookings. Van de Meulen there. Unbelievable, stretched like a slinky there, that crossfield pass. A lot of trust there, but Demuliner comes up with the goods.
My favorite throw at Ultimate is the crossfield around flick blade. That is just, it's undefendable. Today when we were playing Brilliance, our game plan was we have to force them backhand so that we can maybe take that away so they can't have that flick so easily. I mean, you have to put a flat mark on Yonkers after he's slid those inside, up the line type throws with his backhand. And you know what? They got punished. He's going to put it everywhere. That man is a distributor.
Yeah, and he's so young. It's so impressive to watch him. And I can't imagine what he's going to be like as a player in a few years' time when he's a few more caps under his belt. But yeah, Freespeed, that was their first chance of a break. Got one pass and threw it straight to Peter Jan de Molenaar, who, again, played with him for a long time, so maybe he got confused which roster he's on.
You know, it's going to be a game of resets. A game of resets today. Whatever team can complete more of them, that's the team that's going to come out on top, because we've got a lot of really great deep defenders on both teams.
Moser isolated in the lane. Great cut. Get free in the open side. Looking for Luca. Holtz. To Schumacher. Fur. Back to Schumacher. Again. A shot to the end zone. Will be caught pressure by the defender. Oh, it doesn't matter. Fur gets it. The Crazy Dogs player. Great defensive bid, though.
You can kind of see that Freespeed's kind of adjusted. The first couple cuts, they were really focusing on forcing the first initiating cuts under. Saw textbook defensive footwork by Arthur Feller from Freespeed, shutting down the continuation cut. As the possession went on, you could see they switched their defense to more of a force away. I mean, that's the type of blocks that Freespeed is known for. They want their opponents to shoot big, high, floaty discs into the air so that they can attack that space. I mean, that looked like it was kind of set up. They were baiting that.
Yeah, and look, Tom Van Quithem got a fingertip to it. Didn't result in a turn, but they got to be happy with how their D-line is playing, I think. Yet to get a break still, but putting a lot of pressure on this Freespeed O-line. They don't look that comfortable. But it's what the scoreline is what counts, and they're all tied up here still. Could come down to who won the toss, which was Freespeed's, and that's why they're on serve right now.
Good hang time on that pull. Let the defense get down and set.
Vanderlock centers to Descan. De Molenaar, who's been monumental so far. Raf Yonkers hits the inside break as they try and stop the around. Oosh. Call on the field. Coming in on stall 6, it looks like. And it goes straight for a hook, and violation, I think, was called. Not sure if this goal is going to stand. Pick, and he just hammers it right back, and let's go again, round 2.
If anyone forgot that Raf Yonkers has literally every throw in every single wind, that nice little upwind hammer was just a reminder, and it didn't even count.
And he was jogging when he was doing that. He hadn't set himself. He was jogging, just casually throws into the wind. A lovely hammer. High release backhand this time instead. The Molenaar. Benjamin Yonkers. Both Yonkers sporting some mohawks as they connect with each other with a scuba. Royce and PJ having some chats, not for the first time. Both players like to get physical, and they're just discussing how they're going to play this game.
You know, watching Yonkers downfield, I mean, he attacks space so well. He goes from 0 to 100 instantaneously. I mean, his teammates put the disc so early out into space because they know that that man's going to come down with everything.
Oh, and he puts up another delicious inside break to PJ. They are on fire.
How many goals are we going to see them score that way with a Yonkers brother getting that inside just break, kind of like that soft break, right? We at least my teams call it a soft break. It's on the open side, but it's on the break side of the defender, right? He just leads his receiver out into space. That is great offense.
And that is Freespeed 6, Freespeed 5. Stay tuned for more.
If you want to be a high performer, eat like one. Start with a balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Good nutrition is one of the best ways to boost your mental and your physical health.
And we are back here at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Freespeed on offense, 1 point behind the Belgian outfit. No breaks so far. As you see, Luca Milietto, the maestro of this O-line, back pulling the strings.
I'm not surprised we're seeing a lot of picks. Both of these offenses need to fight to find a little bit more space in the downfield. I mean, both teams have very physical defenders.
Rob Schumacher, Van Barsen, back to Schumacher. They run that give go so well. It's very often that the same two people will run the show for the Wild, and that's anyone on this Freespeed offense. Oh, and a flick hook, quite low, but hanging beautifully, and it's a great goal. Basil Furr getting his second of the game.
You can see Furr just set up that deep cut. You know, he attacked all the way from the opposite sideline. As soon as the disc swung all the way to the open side, he was off to the races, and he had so much separation from his defender. We get to see that replay. Man, you can't even see him because he's got so much separation from his defender. He tacks all the way from the opposite sideline into that space. You know, perfect throw, hits him right in stride. Again, a perfect offensive possession.
Yeah, Rob Schumacher, known for those kind of feathery flick hooks. There's not a lot of zip on them. You see it come out first, you're like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be a good throw, but it's always pitch perfect, and it was just there. I think there's a timeout called.
The thing about that throw that makes it so interesting, I'm a thrower. I love watching really good throwers put things out to space and see how they play with the wind a little bit. Again, we have a crosswind, so as a thrower, he puts that disc into the wind, but he has to do it in a way that it holds that flat edge to prevent it from tailing too far into the middle of the field. He kept it nice and low. I mean, again, they're veteran players at the World Club Championships. It's no surprise that we get to see beautiful throws like that almost every single point in this game.
Yeah, we've seen Luca Milietto running this Freespeed offense, known for his dominance in the windmill pull competition, which you competed in this year. How did you get on?
I did compete this year, and I got to win the windmill pull competition.
I knew that. I was just setting you up.
I've spent a good number of years playing catch by myself. My husband and I will go to an open field when it's windy out, and we will play catch with ourselves. We won't play catch with each other. People think I'm kidding, but my college women that I coach, they get to see me play catch with myself all the time. And I love pulling. As a result, it's really fun to play with the wind. It's the most fun throw you can throw as a thrower.
I can relate to that. I live about 100 miles away from any other Ultimate player in the wilderness in Ireland on the west coast, so the only person that can throw it is myself, so I often go down to the beach and just chuck it into the wind. But
Liam in the wind.
Liam in the wind. My hair looks majestic, like this Freespeed's offense. Whoosh. To Ralph Yonkers, who again just at will launches into the air. So casual when he does it. This sent to the end zone, a beautiful goal. Victor Ushinsky, who's been working as a mid so far, finds himself in the end zone and gets a great goal.
Ralph Yonkers is just the man that makes this offense work. You know, when you think, you know, the Freespeed defenders have to feel good about themselves. They think that they shut down the reset game, and he gets this huge under, moves the disc quickly, and, I mean, all of the Freespeed defenders downfield are, where is Ralph Yonkers? Where is he? And you know what? Somebody else is attacking deep. Cheeky little blade right over a couple defenders. They're not even expecting it.
Yeah, Uchinsky there at the goal. One of the Mooncatchers players that is picked up with Freespeed is actually wearing a Mooncatchers hat. So still showing some love for his home club.
It's got to be hard to, you know, when your club gets the call up, you know, even if it's late, it's got to be hard to stay true and play with the team that you committed with.
Yeah, for me, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I bleed green for Pelt, and no matter what team I was going with, I couldn't resist going back to my teammates, my family, if you will. So, but I think there's honor in what they're doing as well. They committed, they signed up, they paid, and it was a hard decision to make. Either way, it kind of feels like you're shafting one team. But I completely understand the decision.
Especially after how great their preparation tournaments have gone for the Freespeeds. You know, the team, I think they have this really fun culture. I don't know. I don't know much about their team history other than, you know, that they organized Tom's Tourney and that they're the hometown team for Tom's Tourney. But when I watched them at Tom's Tourney, you can tell that they have so much joy when they play. They have fun. They play loose. You can tell that everything they do, it's about having fun, and they just, everything they do, it's fun. They're smiling. They're laying out at, you know, shoulder height, you know, and they're still just having fun. They get up, huge smiles on their faces, and it's been really fun to follow them since Tom's Tourney for me personally. I was very excited that I would get to commentate their game after watching them.
Yeah. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Now, you've played big events like this before for American teams. What's the contrast for you playing with WUCC this season in the, let's say, the culture of the team, or maybe not being the top seed usually are expecting to win every game? What's that been like?
You know, I think WUCC is actually in a very similar position as Heist is. You know, we've been fairly dominant in the North Central region in the U.S. And so for me, it was really interesting to see how another team, you know, they go about developing players. And, you know, Paris isn't like a hotbed for women's ultimate, and neither is Madison, Wisconsin. So it's been really fun to exchange ideas and players.
Another chance comes knocking on the door for this Freespeed's D-line. Could break for half, which would be huge. And you can see they've put on Peter Jan de Mouliner furthest point. They've stacked this D-line, hoping to break for half. A good tactic, as they will get a break or possibly call a timeout if they don't get it. Puts it up to de Mouliner, and that's a good decision if it's that man underneath the disc. So yeah, very stacked D-line here. This could be the point that could swing the game.
Really attacking the break side effectively. The Freespeeds have so much more space now that they've transitioned back to that match defense.
Quetham, and we saw that big layout earlier. To Dwala. Oh, he's looking for PJ, who's got tripped, and he comes down with it anyway. Sensational grab. Gogler could do nothing about it, and that is halftime. First break of the game. Time to perfection by Freespeeds.
You know, again, not to sound like a broken record, but I do. We saw reset into a huck. Great offense. We got to see, again, you know, handler movement, and then we got the deep shot to the receiver that they wanted to get into that space.
Freespeeds 8, Freespeed 6. Halftime coming shortly.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome,
regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds.
And even defy gravity.
a place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh,
where we learn to trust,
and eventually even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition
Are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Welcome back to the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships here in Lebanon, Ohio. Freespeed just breaking for half, 8-6 over Freespeed out of Basel. I'm Liam Grant, joined by Robin Wiseman. This is the last round of the day, and we're having a lot of fun here, Robin.
You know, and both teams have really delivered. We know that both teams have very consistent offenses. Both lines playing, you know, every single O point. Both teams, they started out, they looked very fresh, they looked very poised, and as the Freespeed started to apply more defensive pressure, we got to see the Freespeeds play a lot more transition offense. I was really impressed with the way that Freespeed were using that poach and switch in transition. As an O-line, there's not many O-lines out there that look to run zone on a turn. So the Freespeeds made really great adjustments, you know, bringing over that kind of power line to take half. They knew they were going to get that block, and they just needed to get the receiver that they wanted in the right space at the right time.
Yeah, that was possibly the decision of the game, stacking that line, knowing that if they can score, they can take half, and those O-line players can get a rest. So that was a very, very smart move by Freezebees. And, you know, you can see they do rely on quite a short number of players, and they have to manage their field time. It's a long tournament. You're talking 10, 11 games or so. So if they want to finish high, they got to manage their pitch time, and they're doing so very well. And a big key moment, stacking a line, taking that break before half.
I'm really excited to see what both teams do in the second half and what adjustments that they're able to make defensively. Again, which team's going to reset the disc more effectively? Which handlers are going to be able to make space for those throws and attack the break side?
So Freezebees in the lead, 8-6. A lot to play for here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Both teams have big pool play games the rest of the week. The wind is starting to pick up a little bit more, so we'll have to see if that plays into their defensive strategies once they take the pitch after halftime.
Stay tuned for more. Lots of action to come.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
No kid should have an overuse injury. Limit young ones to one sport per season, save sport specialization for later, and cross-train with your kids. Parents and kids will both benefit.
On the Freespeeds, we're seeing a lot of touches from Demulinaire and Rough Junkers. They're so dominant, and the chemistry that they have downfield, it's been really impressive to see how they're able to find each other in really creative spaces. I've also been so impressed again with Benjamin Yonkers. His throwing vision is just, it's so textbook. I can't wait to show this game to some of the young boys that I coach back in Madison, Wisconsin. I love that both teams are being, very creative, but yet being creative within their systems. You can see that they're resetting the discs, being very disciplined about their resets, but still attacking creative spaces. And I think that this is just like a textbook game that a lot of people can learn more about how to play within a system and how fun.
Yeah, they've been pinpoint all game, a well-oiled machine, this Freezebees team. Traditionally not one of the strongest teams in Europe, but have changed all that this season. And for Peter Jan de Mulinaire to get a win over his old club will mean a lot to him. This is a big, big grudge match. And such a fun site here at the sports complex. Countries from all different continents represented here. Lots of fun clubs, great atmosphere. Any clubs you're looking forward to playing or to hopefully getting the draw, Robin?
I'm really excited to play against the Japanese teams. Heist had a really great opportunity last year at the US Open Championships in Minnesota. We got to play against 2 of the Japanese teams that were in attendance. I'm really excited to get to see Revolution play. One of my good friends, Mish Phillips, is playing with them this season, and it's been really fun to follow her journey. It'd be great to play against them, but we have to start winning games. Yaka went 0-2 today. We've got a very tough pool, and we're really excited to start fresh tomorrow against Fusion and Bamboo.
Yeah, definitely the pool of death. No argument there. I don't think so in the men's divisions. I think the seeding was to a point, and there's not really any very difficult group, but definitely a tough group for Yaka. But if they can get through, you know, they're going to cross over with another one, so at least you kind of feel like you're not going to get the crossover of death. So still a lot to play for, and this is a very forgiving schedule.
Yeah, it's really hard to seed a tournament like this. I mean, it happens every 4 years. There's a lot of, you know, peaks and valleys to European teams' journeys, especially the United States teams. The North American teams tend to be pretty dominant for, you know, 4 or 5 years at a time. So, but the life cycle of teams, it happens. It's hard to seed something like this with 36 countries represented.
Freespeed coming out on offense. Luca Milietto. Rob Schumacher isolated in the lane, and this man doesn't hesitate to send it. A beautiful backhand hook. Schumacher in acres of space. That is a beautiful goal. The one-pass offense that Freespeed is famous for.
And you can see that the Freespeeds got into the space in front of the thrower, hoping to force something to be a little bit higher, to give the defenders more time to catch up to any sort of deep throws. But, you know, again, it's just a showing of great throws. Again, the wind picked up a little bit more, so it's going to be a game of which handlers are able to control the wind, which handlers are able to move the disc quickly, which ones are able to attack those spaces that the opposing teams are posing.
Yeah, I've never seen Milietto hesitate to throw a huck when someone's free like that. Regardless of force, if he's to throw it over the stack, throw it around the stack, throw it under the stack, this man is just going to send it. He's known for taking those opportunities, and when he has the throws in his arsenal that he does, you can see why he takes it, because that was probably their best thrower to their best receiver there, and something that hasn't happened enough, I think, from that O-line.
And that's exactly the way that Freespeed wants to start this half. They want to say, hey, we're still in it. We can do it. We only need 2 throws.
Now it's time for their D-line to step it up. Wojcinski looking for Dwala. This one's going to be contested. Great box out. Getting to take it down easily. No call. Oh, and put to the space to Demuliner, but there's a call downfield as we see him not run to the disc. Looks like there's a pick called.
It appears to have affected the play, so.
It looks like they're saying it may not have affected the play, but everyone did stop playing, so it's going to go back to when the call was made. Some people stopped chasing down, so it's going to come in as to when he caught the disc.
We see a 2-on-2 situation in the deep space.
Yeah, now it looks like it is going all the way back. I know they're just warming up their hucks in between the stoppage of play.
I think that what they're saying is that with the continuation rule, that that throw to the deep space was the continuation after the pick. Yeah. So all of the throws after that essentially didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah. Dwala now touching it in. Unfortunately, taking a little longer than you'd hope for this game to kick back in. And they're telling PJ to get back downfield. They don't want him isolated like he was moments ago. Difficult job for Arne Reusch to mark him. And again, they get that isolation and don't hesitate as we see Descan getting his first goal. Usually the O-line handler just is playing safe hands and found himself on the score sheet, but was the first to get down there and help his teammate out.
One thing that a lot of elite teams do is they spend a lot of time at practice and in their warm-ups finding that fast break type momentum. We got to see, you know, one-on-one in the deep space, and it was going to be kind of a foot race to see who could either initiate their offense faster or if the defense could stop that fast break. So we got to see a little bit of 2-on-2 in the flow of offense. That's so fun to watch.
Yeah, very difficult to stop as you're the defender. If you're isolated in the end zone, one person, the thing looks like, you know, a mile wide, the end zone. There's so much space for you to try and cover. And often on our team, Pels, we say, like, a big hook goes up, 1 or 2 people chase it down. If they're down there, we just kind of slowly drift up. Hopefully they can knock it in, because when you have everyone flooding up beside you, it can be quite daunting. But that time, doing well, just isolate one person.
As a defender, you have to trust your mark, right? You have to trust that that mark is going to protect part of the field, and that you have to commit all of your effort and energy to the open side. And the Freespeeds just step around, throw that disc out to space.
Milietto, a zone now from Freespeeds. 3-3-1, little wall, and Luca throws the hammer to Brutalin. Looks like they're transitioning now to a backhand force. Schumacher. Bush. Fur. High one to Schumacher. Does well to take it down. Looks for the quick kick over Bush. Put it to space, and that was very quick. Off to the races. Nice and nimble, Rob Schumacher.
You know, the Freespeeds, they come down in that zone look. I mean, the first half, we saw Freespeed just slice and dice with lots of little give and goes. But it's always good to switch up the momentum, right? Switch up that defensive look, give them something different. Where they really broke down was we had a couple of those high passes to the break side that the defender over-pursued at. They weren't able to set a mark. And in Freespeed offense, they're just able to keep attacking the around space, and there's nothing you can do if you don't have a mark, right?
Yeah.
Can't do anything as a defender.
I'd like to see now Freespeed do what the Belgians did and cross over a few people onto the D-line and try and bulk that up, because they need to get a break, and they haven't looked like doing so. And at what point in the game do you do that? Do you wait until it's, you know, game point to stack the line? Do you do it now to try and shift momentum?
You know, there's not that much game left. I think my strategy would definitely be to swing over a few people and try and get it early, right? You don't want to have to get it later. It's nice to be able to try and get it and then give that line maybe another opportunity later in the game to do that.
And, you know, they still have 2 timeouts, so they can stack a line. If it doesn't work out, call a timeout. Give those O-line players a rest. But yeah, I think this group could end up in a 3-way tie. There's not a lot between these 2 teams, and also Shaq, who lost to Colony earlier. It's going to be close games. One of the few groups with actually 4 European teams in it.
We got to see the Freespeeds initiate with a slightly different look. And we haven't seen Demoulinar initiating their offense downfield off of the pole. He's been that first or second continuation cut. So it was a nice switch of their tactics.
Yeah, it's usually Ushinsky who's, as we see him there, working hard in the mid area and then tries to set up the flow for the Yonkers and Demoulinar to take over. Diwala. Yonkers. Ushinsky going deep and goes for the scuba to his brother, who casually catches with one hand and sends it. Classic Freespeed's offense. Oh, and a big play. That's just what his team needed. Aaron Riedle, the Crazy Dogs player, coming up big.
He really climbed the ladder. The bid on the D from that scuba, the Yonkers to Yonkers scuba, I mean, opened up that break side, that flick huck to go off. You can see him really climb the ladder to get up for that D. Looks like he maybe hit him in the face on the way down.
Yeah, looks like no call. Good spirit from both teams. Yeah, Aaron Riedle, usually a Crazy Dogs player. And if you watch the stream in Lecco 4 years ago, he came up with one of the grabs of the tournament live. I remember Liam Rosen blowing his hat off when he saw that play. So a man who can come up with big defensive moments just like that. And I didn't think he was going to get there. I was kind of getting ready to praise this Freespeed's offense, but yeah, Riedle stepping it up when they need it. Stewart, oh, puts one up. Spicy, and a good footwork keeps it in bounds. Stewart, a player from Wilmington, North Carolina, but actually has a Swiss passport. Played with Dig last year as well. Haven't seen too much from this game.
Seems to be a little bit of confusion about the call. It looked like the Freespeed player called timeout and then continued to play.
Interesting tactic. We see how it plays out for them.
I've seen weirder strategies. None yet at the club championships, but there's some interesting things that players can do.
Anyway, looks like Freespeed will keep the disc without a timeout and just parked outside the end zone. Chance for their first break of the game. Let's see if Freespeed can rescue this one from their own end zone line. And they are far away from their players as well, so.
It looked like Freespeeds were trying to steal one out of the Freespeed playbook, you know, looking to poach and switch a little bit in transition. But, you know, Freespeed, they cut very hard, very decisively. They didn't, you know, hesitate in how to initiate their offense. And so they were able to get their offensive momentum generated very early, very assertively.
Tries to jump that one in. And he gets the pop on the second attempt. And that is the first break for Freespeed. We are back on serve. Oh, looks like a discussion here. Celebrating too early. A travel called.
There's a lot of people in that front end zone corner. It's kind of hard for us to see up in the commentary booth. Maybe you'll get another look at that. So we're going to take the disc back out to the front of the end zone.
William Stewart with the disc. The weight of his team on his shoulders. Heart thumping now. Can he make the right decision? Getting high in the stall count. What's he going to do? He's going to have to throw it. Oh, and he's calling double team or some call there. A lot of discussion going on. It did look like he was being double teamed at one stage there.
The Freespeeds do not look very happy about that, the way that had played out.
He had it for at least 9 3/4 seconds there. Possibly called a marking infraction. It had looked like Casper Mueller had scored the first break, but I feel like this one's going to go back. A lot of discussion. You know, most of these players know each other pretty well, bar William Stewart, who wouldn't have played very much with this Freespeed team or against Freespeed. So maybe just trying to figure out how they're going to talk this one out. Using the game advisors, looks like, for clarifying the rules.
Sometimes it's nice just to have that game advisor there. Just even having the presence of the game advisor, the players are still having the discussion, but the players are able to kind of take that deep breath and step back and have a discussion. We see a lot of reenactments. This is a very big point for both teams. So
yeah, this is a game swinging point. We see Hannah Monty, the game advisor on the far sideline, actually a Quidditch world champion. Dropping that bomb on the stream, yeah. Retired now since being world champion. Many feathers to her cap. And he puts up a flick blade and, oh, looked like Riedle was going to get the bookends, but denied by the Muehliner, who's everywhere in this game.
One thing that I loved about in that transition, you see Benjamin Yonkers, an 18-year-old on the end zone line, telling his teammates, hey, let's calm down, let's take a breath. I mean, at 18 years old to have that type of poise.
And this is a trust throw to the Muehliner, who's going to get the bookends himself. Denies Riedle the same opportunity, and he is pumped. This is a huge game for him personally, as well as his teammates.
He was able to just run that huck down and get his first contact into the end zone. What a great throw.
Freespeed keep their lead, come back for more, and this one battles out.
Do you want to avoid overuse injuries? Cross-train. Get your exercise routine out of a routine and mix it up with a variety of activities. Your muscles, tendons, and joints will thank you later.
The score here, 10-9 to Freespeed from Bruges against Freespeed from Basel. Keeping that cushion so far. Freespeed back on offense. Schumacher. Van Barsen free deep, but decides better of himself. Holtz. Miliretto. Van Barsen. To Holtz. And there's a man on the ground. Looks like an injury might be called. Robin de Suter in a tumble. See how Holtz on the disc. Had a fantastic Tom's turning, Holtz. Playing against a lot of zone. He's very good at that give-go style play. Wearing the backwards red cap. Moser. Luca. Big fakes. Again, hitting Moser with a quick dish. Very classic Freespeed offense, you see. Oh, and majestic the whole way down the field.
One thing that, as Freespeed on offense, they're attacking, they get closer to the end zone. One thing that's really helping them, I mentioned this in the first half, is both teams using their resets. So when handlers are able to, or cutters are able to get the disc back into the middle of the field, and maintain possession quickly to keep the stall count in their offense moving. Whatever team's going to be better at that in this game is going to be the difference maker. One thing that Freespeed's doing very effectively is they're putting that third reset as the front of their stack in the end zone. They're able to hit that person out into that open side space, and that's how they're generating a lot of that give-go momentum, where the defender is, they have to play on the break side, and they're just beating them with foot speed to the open space. Really great give-go and use of that reset momentum from Freespeed in that possession.
Yeah, their offense looking a lot better than it did in their first half. We're now tied at 10s, so essentially a game to 5. And although they haven't got the break back, there's momentum shifting towards Freespeed. Had a great D-line earlier, almost got the break. A very fluid offense then to follow that, so you can see they're ready to get back into this game.
Not that I think Freespeed meant to pull that out of bounds. One thing that I was thinking about at halftime is how can you slow down the offensive attack of the Freespeeds? Because they're so great out of momentum when they're catching and fielding the pull. Maybe pulling out of bounds isn't actually a terrible strategy for them, so that they have to go from a dead disc.
Yeah, they're going with a zone now to maybe try and slow them down. I think at Tom's tourney we talked about maybe doing the half-court defense against them. As that one goes out of bounds, the zone being effective here. And again, William Stewart on the disc. A chance to break. Riedle sends the disc. Oh, this one's going to hang. Competing in the air. Oh, and a great defensive play, and nobody can gather up the loose disc. Ushinsky getting huge. Both men similar height. A 50-50 disc.
You know what? That is spirit of the game at work. So both teams have, even though it's a heated moment, it's immense amount of respect. Both teams, both players go straight up. You know, they make a good play, and both teams just high-five each other, move on. You know, that's the type of ultimate I'm here to watch.
This is a famous Freespeed zone, the 4-person cup. Very tight, leaving space downfield. We'll see if they need to throw over, which they'll do. And being bailed out every single time. Big backhand fake, sends it on a second attempt. Raf Yonkers underneath it. Audacious ultimate at its finest. This is entertainment, folks.
Looks like there may have been a travel call early on the throw. All the players were looking to the replay camera to see if the call should be retracted. Either way, I think that Freespeed are going to have that matchup into the deep space, even if it comes back to the thrower. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the exact same thing happened. Anytime that you have rough Yonkers into the deep space, I mean, against anyone, it's not a bad decision to put it out to space for him.
Yeah, it looks like we have VAR this tournament, not just the World Cup, as all players looking at the Jumbotron there for a moment. You can see Peter Jan de Mullenaer's disgust as he thought he didn't travel. He pointed at the Jumbotron. It seemed that way, and it looks like it's being retracted now. So, yeah, VAR coming into play there.
You know, it's one of those things, right? As the game evolves and we get more technology, it's very interesting to see how the technology kind of plays with a self-officiated game. One thing that was really interesting that happened to me and my team, the Masters Women's USA Beach team at the Beach Championships last year, we had the same thing in our finals game where there was a call and our player retracted after seeing it on the replay screen. And it's incredible how that actually helps the game kind of feel more spirited. That mutual respect really comes out when players are able to retract those calls and say, whoops, yep, I'm sorry, you definitely did or didn't do that, and continue to play.
And it's actually in the rules of the game. If you can look at a monitor like that within a respectable time frame, you can do so. And it, very much so, about 10 seconds after that call was made, there was a very obvious replay for them to watch, and they were happy to do so, and it came into the call, so yeah.
Huge shout out to our awesome production team here at the Club Championships and being able to respond in the moment and get that up on the replay screen. Again,
Freespeed very close to getting a break, had a shot to the end zone, denied, and then straight away Freespeed's resort to boosting it, which you can see why they do so when they have such fantastic receivers.
It's worth mentioning the wind has completely died down, so right after half was really intense, and now it's completely died down.
Schumacher, again with that give go. The man never stops. A lefty this time, looking for it again. Furrer, Milietto back to Furrer. Another lefty, and they have a very distinct style of playing ultimate. Lots of give goes, lots of little lefty backhands, and a backhand goes up now to the end zone. Bush, oh, and a big sky reaches over his defender, hooks that one in.
It looked like De Sutter was baiting that. He was baiting it, taking the inside lane, and you know, we got to see another dimension of Bush's deep game, right? He's not just fast, he's not just explosive. That man can jump.
Yeah, clutches that one out of the Cincinnati sky. And maybe not a bad call by the suitor to bait that. Like, he was there, he was close, and if someone has to sky you to score, I'd be okay with that as a defender. Look, it's better that than an uncontested catch. He was there, he's putting pressure on him.
One thing that was interesting to me was that was the first pull that Freespeed had that really was in the middle of the field. Up until this point, most of the pulls have been going towards each of the sidelines. So, you know, it's interesting to see as a defense to see how they're going to adjust and try and change the way that Freespeed has to field the pull.
And the score is now 11-10 to Freespeed. Or at least that's what they're telling me on the sideline. Big debate about what the score is. Tom Stiles here on stats, though, usually infallible, so we're going to go with him for now, 11-all. Perhaps just trying to get a cheeky extra point on the board there, Freespeed. Oh, and looks like that one is down. Yonkers is fallible. Looking to break quickly now. Moser's on the D line. Can they do it? Moser's inside break to William, who has the easy pass. Arne Roche with the goal. Nothing contested there, and that is the first break for Freespeed. Freespeed pumped right now. That one probably the easiest break opportunity they got, and they took it with both hands. And that was a goal for Arne Rush, who's had the difficult job of marking P.D. and Mulliner all game, so finally gets some reward for his hard work.
That was the first time that we saw Freespeed come down in his zone. Second time, I guess. Second time this half that they came down in his zone. Looked a little bit different from the handler set, and it forced them to kind of take that riskier blade over the top. Maybe it was a hammer that didn't quite turn over. We'll see if they'll use the same strategy this next point. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and taking a leaf out of the Freespeed's book, we saw Moser crossing over to the D-line there, and that was their first break, so we've seen an O-line player helping them out there, and then calling a timeout, probably allowing for him to get a breather so he can go back on and play 2 points in a row. I'm sure the scores are tied. I'm sure the scores are tied. I mean, one break each, and Freespeed starting off, so they have to be tied.
There's been, yeah, we've been trying to listen in a little bit on a score discussion. It seems that the scoreboard is wrong. And so Freespeed and Freespeed are, Freespeed and Freespeed are talking about how the score should be 11-11.
Yeah, I believe so. Definitely only a break each for either team, and Freespeed came out in offense. But they're going to debate it a little longer, it looks like. Getting a high stall count. Wuszinski, oh, very unlike the player to turn over here. And can they get 2 breaks in a row and take the lead? Riedler with their goal. Momentum swings to the Swiss. 2 goals in quick succession, and now they take the lead for the first time this game.
Realistically, I mean, that's a very uncharacteristic error. The Freespeeds can't be too upset because that was a very uncharacteristic error. I think that if they're able to stack a D-line and generate a turn, I think that they'll be in good position.
Yeah, they've done it once before. I'm sure they can do it again. Victor Oczynski, who's been unbelievable so far this game and just grinding out unders, has got a goal to his name as well, but it had a lot of touch to the disc, and that one just slipped right out of the breadbasket.
We know that the Freespeeds are capable of coming back and winning these tight games. We know that their top-end players on their O-line are able to switch over and play defense in pivotal moments of games. It doesn't get any bigger. I think both teams will know. I think that as the game goes on, we're going to see that maybe the playtime tighten up a little bit more and see more of those offensive players swing to the D-line. As this is the last game of the day, they don't have to leave anything in the tank for this game. There's nothing else happening for them today but some rest, you know, back at their respective hotels or houses that they're renting. So they want to win this one.
Yeah, very much so. And I think we saw them do very well at Tom's Tourney, where there was kind of shortened games and they have to run too hard. At Windmill, they were playing sometimes 4 games a day, very long games, and that didn't suit the Freespeeds. But just usually 2 games a day here at the World Ultimate Club Championships that they can probably afford to run their big guys when it matters most. Oh, and that one just threading the needle. Wojcinski sends one deep to the Mullinaire, and he shows the space. The man is unstoppable.
I thought we were going to see Royce potentially, lay out into space there. It looked like he was trying to set up a nice layout block, taking that inside route. But, you have de Mullinaire. You have to worry about him beating you to any spaces you're trying to set up.
Sometimes I wonder if putting Royce on de Mullinaire is a good idea, because Royce is definitely their best defender. Unbelievable. But hasn't really done much to shut down de Mullinaire. So maybe, look, if no one can shut him down, why put your best defender on him? Put Royce somewhere else so he can hopefully generate a few turns, because de Mullinaire, when he's riding the lightning like he is now, he's very difficult to stop.
Well, and the other thing is you don't want de Mullinaire on Royce on a turn in transition, especially with how big Royce is for that transition offense, right? One thing that I like to do as a coach is, if you have a player like de Mullinaire, you have a player like Raf Yonkers, you don't necessarily put your best two defenders on them, right? You just put somebody who's going to do their job, you give them a very specific job, and then hope in transition you can generate a bigger mismatch, and so that you can put in that break when you need it later in the game. Yeah,
a very effective tactic. One our team Pelt would often do against Freespeed. You see Holtz there, number 91, an amazing O-line handler, often someone like myself or another tall player will mark him. And to be honest, we're not the best matchup against him. He does a lot of give-go handling, difficult to stop, but if we get the turn, we can then use that height mismatch. So sometimes you put your matchups based on if you get a turnover, what they can do for you then.
As a thrower, he's gonna do whatever he wants anyways, right? So you may as well just try and create a mismatch on a turn. He's going to do what he wants, regardless of if you have the best defender or someone who's not the right type of mismatch or right type of matchup on a turn.
Exactly. Pick called, but it will stay with Robin Brudelin. Always wearing that white headband. Holtz. Bush. Always that quick swinging dump to the handler in flow. Ferrer. Moser. Milietto. Oh, crossfield flick into space. That one maybe too much mustard. Oh, got a hand to it. And it comes shooting out, unfortunately. Possibly the ground forcing his hand up into the disc as it spills out.
That's a hard catch because he went for it with his right hand, which caused him to have to make that trailing edge grab. So what I mean by that is the disc is spinning away from his catching hand. If he goes with his left hand, the disc is actually spinning into his catching hand. So, I mean, that's something that you don't necessarily think of in the moment, but, at this level, all of these receivers have had so many reps of that particular play.
Yeah, technically the more difficult catch, but for players who may be one-hand dominant, it's traditionally they're just going to go with their favorite hand, and a more difficult approach, but maybe trust his right hand a bit more than his left, but not coming up with that one. Can they get this break back? Doing well now, getting their resets. Changshura puts one into space, but only Freespeed players minding the house. Ferrer. Moser wasting no time. Brudelin gone deep, and this combination, a famous one. Brudelin, oh, boxes out well, but oh, maybe worrying too much about boxing and not enough about catching.
When that disc went up, in the commentary booth, at least, I felt the wind start to gust. So when the disc went up, it was taking a very different line than it was towards the end of the flight path. So right at the end, when the wind started to gust, it started to push the disc away from the receiver. So we can see that right there, the disc kind of started moving away from the Freespeed receiver.
And we're all about trailing edge catches today. Another one that doesn't go Freespeed's way. Changshura eventually gets a nice underpass. Freespeed, a lot of switching and poaching in the lane, making it difficult for them. They need to get it on this far side and do so now. Tim Desmith. Oh, and Moser comes flying across the field. Pick called. And Freespeed haven't gotten very far, but have been under immense pressure.
Where we see Freespeed really attacking those resets from the front of the stack. Freespeeds have not been able to really use that handler in the front of their vertical stack very effectively.
Oh, and a nice draw to space, but eventually makes it around Moser, who's face guarding. Oh, and this one put up the space for Brutalin, who eventually gets his goal. And that offensive hold that took 3 times of asking.
Again, Freespeeds are getting those blocks. Who's going to be able to maintain possession?
And the score is now 13-12. Freespeeds have some timeouts in their pocket. Just a few points left. Stay tuned for more high ultimate action.
Heat illness strikes kids and adults alike during summer workouts. Watch for muscle cramps, fever, nausea, headache, weakness, or feeling faint. Act fast to get cool and get fluids.
This game coming down to the wire. The battle of Bruges versus Basel. 2 high flyers of European Ultimate. Boris van der Lok, one of the tournament directors for Tom's tourney, feels that pull. Now with Benjamin Yonkers. Very saggy defense from Freespeed, looking to clog the lanes. Call in the field.
We knew this game was going to be exciting, and it continues to deliver.
Yeah, it definitely has lived up to expectations so far, and I think this final few minutes is going to do so even more as they probably stack their lines for the last few points and really go all out. Wojcinski, big disc put up. William can't get there. Oh, looks like it was just outside the end zone. Boris there with the reset. Fakes the scuba. Oh, and Wojcinski with a second turnover of the game, and they did need to do that.
You could see that he made contact or eye contact with Raf Yonkers in the back of the vertical stack, and it looked like Raf Yonkers was about to cut into that break side space. And I think Wojcinski just put it a little bit too soon before Yonkers was able to develop that cut.
And a timeout called. Freespeed see this as a big opportunity to put some separation between the two teams. And I think Freespeed's be okay with that, because that O-line looks a little tired now. Seemed like that throw from Wojcinski was not something he would have done in the first half.
I'm not sure. Maybe he would have just put it up into space for Raf Yonkers, but you know, I think that they're really looking for Raf Yonkers to like make those plays. I mean, he's the guy that makes their offense work. That's the kind of person that you want to put 50-50 discs up to. You wanna see him get the momentum back, because you know his teammates know that he's going to make the big plays. No matter if it's a pivotal moment, if it's the beginning of the game. We saw that early on, and we haven't seen him touch the disc very often. Freespeed's doing a great job of switching downfield, you know, to limit his production in the deep space.
Yeah, I think he's won every aerial battle, and that one, a low throw to a receiver that's very good in the air. And if you're not sure, just throw it high. I think he's going to probably bail you out if it doesn't go exactly where you wanted it to.
And where we see kind of a lack of production in terms of stats and goals and assists from Raf Yonkers, we see that De Moulinaire has really stepped in, you know, to that high production type role that I think we saw Raf Yonkers play a little bit more earlier in the season for Freespeed.
And De Moulinaire was injured earlier on this season, due to a bowling ball accident, which he hates me mentioning, but I can't resist doing so. But glad to see he's in full effect now, and he's one of the best players in Europe, no doubt.
The most athletic of players usually hurt themselves in the least athletic of ways.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience, Robin.
Very much so. As my family likes to say, I'm the klutziest athletic person they know.
Well, yeah, I've probably fell victim of similar incidents, but
never with a bowling ball.
Never with a bowling ball, but he's looking to strike deep now as they shoot to the end zone. Another crossfield flick for the goal.
My favorite throw again. You know, you see that Freespeed is so worried about those backhands up the line when Raf Jonkers catches the disc. The mark goes completely flat to take away that backhand, you know, and that exposes the entire break side. You know, and his teammates know that that's where he likes to throw the disc. He likes that big high blade over to the break side. And you can see that his receiver cuts there early as soon as Raf Jonkers catches the disc. One thing I'm really interested to see is this timeout. Is this because we're looking to rest the top players on Freezebees so that they can switch over to the D-line and we can see some big production for the last few points?
I believe so. I don't think it's a matter of if they'll stack their D-line, is when. And if I was coaching them, I'd probably do it for the rest of this game, you know. They have, as you said, they just have timeouts in the bag so they can rest if they need to. But this is a big game, and perhaps they'll carry this result into power pools if they make it there. So,
as somebody who has a lot of different beverages up with me to replenish my body after an intense day of playing, I will throw all of my water and all of my Gatorade their way so that I can see some more Yonkers to Yonkers connections in transition. Anything to keep the fans happy.
yeah, as we see the weather gods now throwing them some shade as some cloud cover comes over the fields once again. Delight for all the players as that baking hot summer sun is hidden away. Holtz catches the pull to Luca. Side stack from Freespeed. Moser. Schumacher cutting and swings and roundabouts. Holtz has to look around his mark to see what's available. It's a lot of small ball between the handlers. Moser now looking to take very safe options, nothing too spicy. Holtz jets downfield. Again, he always looking for that give-go. And you see Yonkers on the mark there, so they have stacked their D-line, but they've done very little to slow him down so far. Raf Yonkers on Van Basten. Gogler to Holtz. Barson. Moser. Milietto. Oh, and gets it around to Brutalin, and the tough D-line of Freezebees can do very little to slow down that offense.
One thing that as the Freespeed offense worked it closer to the end zone, we see that every time Freespeed swung it to the break side, every single one of the defenders checked over their outside shoulder to see if there was a continuation. They're able to prevent that the continuation with momentum towards the break side. What we saw that last throw is Van Quaitham did not check his outside shoulder, and he didn't pursue enough to take away the around. So fatigue could be setting in, but you know, it's one of those things that at this level, all of these players know that they need to check that outside shoulder to take away that continuation to the break side.
Timeout called by Freespeed as we head into this business end of the game, and a lot of games already finished, and many people flooding over to see the tail end of this one. And yeah, Freespeed calling the timeout there, which will give the men from Bruges a much needed breather, so they're probably happy about that as well. Game point for them. Freespeed will see if they stack a line or just go with their traditional D-line. I think if you're in the lead, you just put out your normal D-line, and then if it does go to double game point, you have your O-line fresh as daisies, ready to go.
You know, and it forces, you know, the O-line players who just swung over to play defense, it forces them to have to play against a fresh 7 players. Forces them to have to dig a little bit deeper, you know, go a little bit more into the tank and use a little bit more energy to get open for every cut.
You can hear a pin drop on this field right now, and that is very much the pressure weighing down on all these players' shoulders. This is a big, big point. All the fans want to see it to go to double game point. Freespeed definitely don't. They want to get a break for the win.
And the wind has started to pick up again. We'll keep you up to date on the conditions. It's hard to really get a feel for the conditions if you can't see any of the flags that are in the background. You know, the wind's picked up a lot more than it was even in the previous point before the timeout.
Yeah, having the flags lets us know the wind. The Swiss flag definitely a big plus as we see them come out in a honest person defense. Lushinsky already had 2 turnovers this game. Does that little high release lefty he's known for. DeMuliner in the middle of the field. Gets a bit of contact but rides it out. Raf Yonkers now. DeMuliner. And looks like maybe travel called. Don't know if it affected the play. Raf Yonkers going to catch this anyway, but there's a call in the field. As you see that bladey high release pass to Raf Yonkers. If it goes in the sky, that man's going to take it down. This goal won't count, but we'll relive the precious moments anyway. I think there was a travel called quite a while back on PJ, Peter Jan de Muliner, who is actually being marked by someone else now because Royschkal has switched downfield to cover Oshinsky, who gone deep. So at the moment, I think de Muliner will have a bit more space.
Again, the game advisor's there to help step in and keep the conversation moving, make sure that the game is going to be played a little bit faster. Looks like on the travel call, it will be coming back to de Muliner.
Yeah, this one contested. Let's see if they do it again. Working up slowly, and he puts up a hammer. Raf Yonkers, oh, and has to make a big layout, and comes out of his hands. Freespeed with a chance to break the win.
You could see that that play was set up immediately when the receiver caught the disc. Raf Yonkers does the head fake, and he is already cutting to that space immediately. What a great effort for that play, but he wasn't able to reel it in.
You know, he had a drop in the final of Thomas Turney. This one looks like he's baiting it. Oh, and it gets there, not in the end zone yet. Can Freespeed break to win? Scattering back is Freespeed's. Our heart is in our mouth right now. Outside the end zone, high release pass. Is Benjamin Yonkers there? He's not. Aaron Riedle with the goal to win it. Freespeed take the victory. Heartbreak for Freespeed.
I was really excited to be part of the commentary team for this game, and this game did not disappoint. Both teams made some very athletic plays. We got to see how both teams adjusted to different defensive looks. And again, it just seemed like Freespeed was able to pressure just a little bit more and throw a little bit different types of looks at the Freespeeds.
Yeah, fair play to two teams. A real battle in this Pool D. Nobody out of it yet. No win for Freespeed, although they played fantastically in that game. And really good spirit all around. A real battle. Unfortunate for the Yonkers and Peter Jan de Muliner, who played fantastic and probably don't deserve to be on the losing team. But they'll bounce back from this. This won't be the last you'll see of the Bruges side. And Freespeed showing their maturity, a team that's been around since 1996, and they had their backs against the wall and they came out fighting.
And the big difference maker was how Freespeed was able to attack the break side in their transition offense and keep the space open. You know, it made the Freezebees work so much harder when they turned the disc over. The second half, you know, we saw more turnovers by the Freezebees, and Freespeed played just clean, fast offense in transition.
Yeah, and that's why you come to these tournaments, you know what I mean? Teams from all over the world. This tournament has more culture than a yogurt. You got from Australia to Mexico, Argentina, to Russia. It's a great event to experience, be part of the action. And it's not all about wins, losses. It's about playing this great sport and enjoying with some of the best players in the world. As we see the two teams gather in a spirit circle and talk about how the spirit of the game went.
I would love to be in that spirit circle to hear, you know, these teams, it's not the first time they faced each other, especially, I mean, but a lot of these players have played both teams, you know, even on different teams, and such a tight fought game. There were some heated moments, and both teams, you know, they reacted, you know, in a very poised, calm way after, you know, when things got a little bit heated, and we got our money's worth for this particular game.
Yeah, so that's all for day 2 of the World Ultimate Club Championships. A lot of great action to come. A week jam-packed with great ultimate. I've been Liam Grant, joined by the amazing Robin Wiseman, and we got plenty more games coming up. Be sure to check out the schedule on YouTube, on the WUCC channel, on Olympic channel. So great ultimate to come. Thanks very much for watching.